Hi, Sasha. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just having a crazy time like coordinating all this, and now I realize how much goes into like having guests on anything. And I'm new to videos and editing and YouTube and everything. So it's fun.
Yeah, I was just sitting here like writing out some like short notes for the questions that you had sent over.
Welcome to the Sustainability Snapshot, and this is a series where I'm trying to bring forth women and like female and non-binary leaders in clean energy and the sustainability space, and trying to create less taboo about whether these industries are sustainable and whether they are like feasible and how are they financially and XYZ. So thanks for being my guest. I think this would be my second episode for this one. So I quickly wanted to jump into your background. So, how did you land the work you're doing right now? And were you interested in this space initially, or did you accidentally find it?
It was definitely more accidental than anything. Uh, I was in the military as a aircraft mechanic, and after I got out, I worked on cars for a bit at another place locally as a retail establishment with as a manager. And I had my last child and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to go back to work. So I just kind of put out a whole bunch of applications. They called me in, and I didn't know that there was I knew that there were some spaces in Maryland that did solar applications, but I didn't know that there were commercial kind of companies in Maryland, which I thought it was mostly residential. But I have been working now here for 3.5 years and learned a lot more about the solar industry. I wasn't originally intending on going into an energy type job, but I have learned so much while I've been here and I love it.
Awesome. And just for everybody, so Sasha and I were co-workers in my past job at New Energy Equity, and she's my work mom and best friend at work. So I really was looking forward to having this interview. So that's pretty cool. And then I think so. I should have probably done this initially, but like introducing you. So you're the office manager at New Energy Equity now, right? And like across all of their offices. And am I like not covering part of your job that I should?
No, you're good. They recently updated my title when they did my promotion. So I was hired as an office manager / executive assistant. They hired Taylor and they gave me a promotion. So Taylor's now the executive assistant, and I am the manager of office administration. So I manage 4 office locations and help the remote employees as needed as well.
That's so cool. And also, like in my 3 years there, also like the company grew so fast. So I can imagine it's very different from when you joined on day one versus what you're doing now. So that's pretty interesting too.
It's very different. I think at the time I was the 24th, I think, full-time employee. And now I think we have around 80.
Oh my God. Oh, you came right after me. I was 23. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Damn. And then, so office manager. So like when you try to explain to your friends or family or anybody really what your job entails, like what do you think their first impression is and versus what you really do? Like, is there a difference or is there like much more similarity than one would assume?
Yes, and especially when I was originally doing like office management and executive assistant, because most people, when they think of an office manager, they order supplies, maybe they make some meetings, or they help out with things around the office or whatever. And funnily enough, that's actually a small percentage of what I do as far as my job goes. So I am primarily an event coordinator, funnily enough. So I right now plan 4 major office events every year, and also plan normally monthly events throughout the company, as well as other different things. We have office lunches every week that I coordinate, and then smaller things like I am now in charge of the budget for the department and the events calendar, as well as helping manage the corporate purchasing card that we have for our department. So lots of smaller things, and also the office supplies and stuff.
Yes, office supplies. That was my favorite part. And also event management. I still love like coming and hanging out with you by your desk and just always talk about these things. And I feel like even though you say they're small things, it's just a million things I don't know, like I'm in constant awe of how you organize and manage like all the little bits and pieces. And I feel like honestly, you're one of the most indispensable people there. I don't know how they're gonna panic in case like you're not gonna be able to come in the next day. It's gonna be crazy. So
it's funny because have like I've been trying my best now to keep a little bit like it's not like I'm unorganized or anything like that, but trying to like keep a constant list of all the things that I have to do and like cross all the stuff off. And it's always funny when I look back on it and I'm like, there's a lot of things going on. There's just a lot.
Oh my God, for sure. And like, I feel like you helped me a lot to learn about organization too. I was terrible when I came in. I think I'm still pretty bad. I'm just not as bad as I was 3 years ago. But it was just a mess. And I remember you like really keeping me on straight, and I was really grateful for that. Um, Interesting. And then, what do you think? Okay, so like you were talking about like all the things you're learning about this industry, or like how clean energy works or sustainability. I'm sure like with like addition to employees and like company policies are ever evolving. So like, what kind of a role do you think they play, or like how is this industry as you see it growing within say like the next 10 years? So like I'm trying to do like a vision 2030.
Yeah, it was funny because we just did a NEE University yesterday about the sustainability and the optics of economics versus design and stuff, which is actually really nifty. And I ended up having a whole bunch of questions afterwards, so I have a better feel for this question. So I remember asking because they've been doing bifacial panels as well as just the mono panels. And they were also talking about how the difference between inverters and their peak times, how they have some clipping involved because the grid itself is only accepting so much power and all this stuff. So they were talking about the future of what they think this industry is going to look like. And talking to another employee yesterday, they're also thinking of moving into storage. And California is doing some very interesting things right now where they were able to do something with their main grid and their utility there, where they have everything linked up for storage battery solutions with their solar power. And whenever their grid is getting really low and they have an overage or a really hot day or something, they're able to send out a command that sucks up all the extra power sitting in the batteries and pushes it out to the grid. And it looks like the pricing for those battery type solutions is actually going up versus going down because of EVs coming out and everybody needs those lithium-ion batteries. Makes sense.
Interesting.
But, technology in general, it normally follows the rule of going down eventually, and whoever comes up with the next big breakthrough for the battery will really, I think, win the game. And I think that's going to end up being the future of this model. Whenever they put out those solar panel projects, they'll actually end up having storage solutions on there, and that'll take a little bit of time for them, hopefully in the next 10 years, to also talk to the different utilities, because it looks like nobody has really spoken to the utilities at these other locations that aren't in California. So nobody is having a way to regulate that or pay for it when these projects have storage on site. So I ended up asking the question yesterday. I was like, so do we have somebody in the company that talks to, the utility just as like a general conversation starter? And they're like, no, because that person would have to be a lawyer and an engineer to properly speak about both sides of it. They're like, generally we support lobbying groups that will go out there and do that for us, I guess. So
that's so interesting. I feel like around the world this happens a lot, like disconnected growth, but then like here, because like you have a lot more ability to do things on your own, it sometimes becomes even more distorted. And it's like, well, you have this great technology, but then you don't have the infrastructure to support it, and vice versa. Like lobbying is definitely one way to communicate, but then like things are happening so fast. It's like, well, you also want a really good deal, and then you want everything else to work out, and then it's really hard to keep all the pieces together, I imagine.
There were so many things that they try to keep track of and things that they're looking at and, check marks that they're doing and yes, no, and all this other stuff. And it's just like, there's so much that goes into just even small pieces of these projects. It's just crazy.
Oh my God. I remember working with Dean on like a portfolio in one of the states in the US. And like, I was just in awe of his strategy because you have such limited information. I keep saying this, like there's the higher up you go and you have to make larger decisions that affect the whole company, or like have like $1 million next to it, attached to it, it's just, how do you decide that this is worth it, like on a hunch? Because there's no information supporting it. But then I guess your experience counts right then. Like, like you have an idea of what can go wrong, and then you can foresee that. And that only comes with like working and working and working. Right. So that's just crazy. That's so interesting. Okay. And just to wrap this up, is there anything you would like to plug, or something interesting you're doing, or anything you want to share with the audience?
I don't know if I have anything in particular right now. I mean, our group, I love that our group does more donations and community support in our area. We actually just booked a Earth Day / volunteering event at our local library, which is going to be great next month. So I'm excited for, and we also just recently donated $50,000 to Folds of Honor. So
wow.
I'm excited about how much our company is growing and how great we follow along with our visions and values as well.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sasha. And thanks so much to come online on such short notice. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gonna